Good day, everyone. Welcome to Lusatech. Welcome to Lusatech Training Academy. We meet again today for one and only purpose to discuss a particular topic in as far as occupational health and safety is concerned. My name is Lamlan Moyo. I'm one of the instructors at Lusatech. As usual, we keep encouraging people to follow us on various social media platforms to get updates, be it Facebook, TikTok. Also have your YouTube. We also have many other platforms where you can actually be able to contact us. Our WhatsApp number is available for you to be able to actually contact us anytime, anywhere. All right, so let's get into this matter straight away. Right, today, where are we going to be focusing on, or what are we going to be focusing on? We are focusing on tools that we can actually use when we are managing occupational health and safety. What we're talking about here is that as a person who is in the occupational health and safety, there is need to manage it. So you wouldn't be able to manage a particular something if you do not have the necessary tools for you to be able to do the managing. Safety officers and many other people who are involved in occupational health and safety, they, from time to time, would actually need to manage because you are a manager. The reason being that we have always spoken about that there is an act that empowers you to run as a manager at your particular workplace. And this act is Occupational Health and Safety Act, and it has got sections where it indicates why an institution, why a company needs to provide a safe working environment for its employees. And therefore, in the process of actually providing safe working environment, they employ you to do that on their behalf as a company. Therefore, your job actually is to manage that particular section, which is occupational health and safety, right? So a manager is a person who basically does few things, but in a wide spectrum. A manager does planning, a manager does organizing, a manager does coordinating, a manager does controlling, right? Some people might want to put it in a different wording or use different words, but still the same thing. You are going to come up with a plan. So you need to sit down and do the planning, right? At this particular juncture, what are we talking about here? You are not yet putting action into what you are doing, but rather you are still putting down or writing down the plans that where do you want to go, right? And you would want to talk about your aims and objectives, SMART objectives, your strategies, your motto, your values, your mission, your whatsoever. You are still planning here. After you have planned, you would need to then organize resources, running around, organizing resources, organizing everything that you would want for you to be able to execute the plans that you have that you have planned. So you would then plan, and then you would organize such items. Once you have organized such items, you need to move to the next step, a very crucial step, which is what you would want now to make these things work. These resources need to work. So at that particular moment now, what are you doing? You are now coordinating, you are leading, you are motivating, right? So remember, in the section of organizing, you have been organizing resources. One of the resources that you are organizing here is human resource, which are people whom you are going to be working with and stuff. So these people need also to be coordinated, right? Coordination basically means you knowing who should be where at what particular time, and so on and so on and so on. So you would want to do such coordination. Then, of course, once you are done with coordination, you move on to the last step, which is controlling. So what do you do in the controlling? You are monitoring, you are reviewing, and you are also providing feedback back into the system so that the system can continue functioning. So in a nutshell, that these are the functions that management are faced with every day. Even though these functions might not really move in that order smoothly that you can recognize that they are moving that way. But these functions of management, they might take place almost same time. You are planning, you're organizing, you're coordinating, and you're controlling same time. But at the end of the day, these are the four major functions of management, right? So without further ado, let's then move on to say, once you have performed these duties or these functions, what tools can you use for you to say, you know what, here I am managing here, right? So we are going to look into those tools one by one. We are also going to look into ideas one by one. We are going to look into activities one by one. So you might want to call all of them as tools, or you might want to call them activities whatsoever. But at the end of the day, what are we talking about here? We are talking about items that you can actually be able to utilize when you are a manager, right? We would want to look into number one. One of the items here is risk assessment tools. You would want to perform risk assessment. I think that is why, as safety officers, we do have to understand HIRA, which is hazards identification risk assessment. So you would want to understand that performing or conducting risk assessments becomes one of the tools that are very important when you are managing safety. Remember, one of your tasks or your major task is to provide a safe working environment at your workplace. Now, how are you going to be providing a safe working environment at your workplace if you don't know the hazards, if you have not identified the hazards, if you have not performed a risk assessment for you to weigh and say which hazard is serious, which hazard is not, which hazard is risky, which one is riskier, and stuff like that. So number one on the ranking, we are going to put risk assessment tools as one of the most important tool you would actually want to use, right? So these as a risk assessment all together combined, find that we are talking about items such as your risk assessment matrices, hazard identification checklists, risk registers, and so on and so on. Whatever you are using at your workplace for you to be able to do risk assessment. So that's number one. Number two, good people, as we move on, is that you need to actually perform incident reporting and investigating, right? You would want to be in a position where you would allow for incidents to be reported and create a culture or create a system at your workplace that allows people to report, regardless of how small or big or huge or whatsoever the situation is in terms of the incident, right? Because some people only want to wait until an incident is an accident, then they say that should be reported. That's not how safety culture work. And I'll create a day where I'm going to talk about how we can instill safety culture at our workplaces. So if there is safety culture at your workplace, people will find reporting easily. And when, as a safety officer, you would have created that culture yourself. You would have created a system that works for you, employers and employees at that particular workplace for them to be able to actually report all the incidents. And once they are reported, an investigation must take place. So incident investigation becomes also a very important part of the tools that you can use there when you are a safety officer. Ladies and gentlemen, what are we talking about? We are talking about tools that you can use when you are a safety officer and you are trying to manage health and safety at your workplace. Nowadays, things have changed. We have seen that there are now new items on the block. We call those things software, right? We are now using computers. We are now using handy computers. We are now using tablets. We are now using barcode scanners. We are now using a lot of different, or even phones and calculators and stuff. So given that we do have that, then life is going to also be easier for us to be able to manage our health and safety. So safety management software can be utilized by a safety officer. That is, if you know company that supplies that, try to acquire such so that it can assist you, right? Okay, moving on. Another tool that we can actually use is PPE management. I am not saying PPE is the tool. I'm saying PPE management is the tool, because just providing PPE is not enough in any job, right? In any job, wherever you are right now, just providing PPE to an employee or to a number of employees is not enough. But being able to manage that as a process as a whole, then it becomes a tool that you can use in the process of assisting yourself in terms of health and safety at your workplace. Here we are talking about being able to make sure that you have got proper ways of selecting the PPE. You have got proper ways of training employees on the use of the PPE, importance of PPE, all those things. You do have such. So then you also make sure that you properly maintain these PPE, because once you have given someone a PPE, that person needs to be trained on why are you using PPE. Number two, how to use the PPE. Number three, how to maintain the PPE. So there are a lot of things that you would want to train your employees before you just issue them the PPE, right? So you'd want to have PPE assessment forms, inventory management forms or system, so that you can be able to do that, right? Another tool that one can actually use when you are managing health and safety is emergency preparedness, right? Emergency preparedness, one of the things that many places that I have gone, they do not do that, right? They do not. Emergency drills, you would want to have to develop how are you going to respond to emergencies, right? People would want to wait until there is fire, because I think one of the common emergencies at workplace is fire. But nowadays we are starting to realize that there are many other emergencies that we are facing. For instance, the rain and the localized flooding and all like that we have been experiencing in most parts of South Africa. That's your Gauteng, your KZN, your Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga, and so on. We are facing a huge amounts of water coming through our rains. So these rains are causing a lot of damages. We also have winds, we have put thunderstorm and so on. So these are some of the emergencies that we are talking about. Now, employees need to be in a proper position to respond to emergencies. So for you to know that your employees are prepared, make sure that you do emergency response plans, make sure they are there. Provide emergency drills. You can do twice a year, twice in whatsoever, so that people, they can be able to get used to say, when this happens, what happens. For instance, if you would sit down as a safety officer and design that you are going to have 2 emergency response drills, right? So you can set it that probably the first one, it will be the one where people are being informed. So people will know that this drill is a fake emergency situation, but it's meant to be a drill, right? So they will run, you gather at the emergency assembly point. They would assist each other in terms of what you call rescuing each other, trying to contain a situation and so on. That will be the first one. But the second one, if you are to do the second one, make sure that the second one does not become the one that you inform people. Just let it go, right? Just let it go. People must be caught off guard so that they can be able to prove to you as a safety officer that they can handle a situation of this nature, right? So now here we are moving on again. We are now talking about promoting safety culture. If you are going to promote a safety culture, it's very important at your workplace. So try to have those things where they say safety first culture. Maybe you have got sort of toolbox talks. You have got safety talks. You try to create peer-to-peer evaluations where each employee gets to evaluate his colleague. You try to create workshops, campaigns, and so on and so on. So we are looking at situations, or we're looking at things that might actually change the behavior of that particular group of people, right? So what are we referring to here, good people? We are referring to tools that you can use when you are managing safety. We are going to go backwards and recap so that we can catch up again with the ones that we are talking about. Let's look into the ones that we've already spoken about. We have said that, number one, you can actually use risk assessment tools, right? We have also indicated that people can actually use incident reporting and investigation tools, right? We have also talked about safety management software. We have talked about PPE. We have talked about conducting emergency preparedness tools, right? These are some of the tools that you can use. Now we are talking about promotion of safety culture, right? Promotion of safety culture. We are agreeing that if at your workplace you are going to promote a safety culture, then people are going to get used to that idea, and it will work for some time because they are used to that, right? Just a second. Right, perfect. Now, if we push that particular type of culture for some time, people get used to it, right? How would you foster a safety culture at your workplace? Conduct meetings, right? Campaigns, right? Toolbox talks all the times. Make people aware that how important is these safety talks, right? You can even have peer-to-peer what call them evaluation, where you can ask one employee to evaluate the other to say how far do they know about occupational health and safety. So you can create that. Another thing that we can talk about with people is training and development, right? We cannot overstress the issue of training, right? People need to be trained. So every time you have to train people. And sometimes people would say, why are we training people? And I would take you to many parts of the Occupational Health and Safety Act where it refers to a person as competent person. If you go into the Act, for those who are always checking the Act, and that's what you should be doing every day anyway, you need to understand the Act, because you can't be a safety officer who can't understand your own Act. So if you go to the Act, good people, you will realize that almost every now and then, the Act keeps on referring to people as competent person, competent person, competent person. Why? Because a competent person is a trained person. In this field, we do not believe in saying we know that somebody knows, right? For instance, right now, most of you might look at me as a facilitator and say, oh, Lamlani knows this thing, Lamlani knows that. But if you employ me at your company, your first thing you're supposed to do is to train me. Train me and be so certain that this person that I'm employing knows. Therefore, we come back and say training and development becomes one of the most tools that you can actually use as a safety officer. Training and development. You'd want to train people on safety procedures. You'd want to train people on hazard awareness. You'd want to train people even on emergency response tactics that we have just spoken about, right? Safety committees. Safety committees are talked about in chapter 17 up to chapter 21, especially chapter 21 there in the Act, where it stipulates seriously about the safety committees, how to establish them, and then how to run them. As a safety officer, you will need to use this as a tool, because in these meetings, that's where you are going to be able to know what to do next, and you'll be able to know what management is going to do next, etc. So you should establish safety committees, make sure that you involve more employees from different departments so that you can collaborate and promote safety across the board. All right. Continuous improvement. Continuous improvement is one of the items that, for those who have done quality management, continuous improvement is something that is spoken about a lot. So once you have implemented a system on its own, it's like a machinery. It should continue running on its own. So the system would have your input, processing, output, feedback into system again, process, output, feedback into. So it helps to it ends up being a complete cycle, or it will take a circular form, right? So that's what we call continuous improvement. Now, if a system is of continuous nature, therefore, these feedbacks that are coming back into the system, those feedbacks, they need to assist in improving the system altogether. So you would want to have regular audits so that you can have feedback from them. You would have situations where you have those incidents investigation. You would want information from them so that you can use that information in implementing best practices, right? Employee engagement. You would want to encourage employee involvement. I think it also goes back to the safety culture. So you would try to avoid a situation where you are an autocratic leader who just wants to point to people and say, do that. You would also want to avoid being a bureaucratic leader who would take years to make a decision because it's too much bureaucracy. So in the methods of management, you'd want to sit down and create some kind of a combo, right? Where you have got autocracy, you have got democracy, you have got bureaucracy, and also you have got laissez-faire a little bit. You mix all of them, you come up with a combo. That combo might work because if you are not going to make it a combo, one cannot work on its own because it has got its own pros and cons. Right? Let's move on from employee engagement. You would also want to make sure that safety inspections are always done. So you are now moving into activities that can actually assist you in running occupational health and safety. Make sure that safety inspections are done regularly, conduct regular workplace inspections to identify hazards and ensure compliance with safety regulations. All right. Conduct also regular safety meetings, which we say they're called toolbox talks. Try to encourage them so that they can be discussed every day. Make it a point that most of these topics are repeated over and over so that people can actually get it. They must actually start sounding like a cliche, right? Safety training, I think we've already spoken about it. Mock drills when it comes to first aid, fire evacuations, and other emergency scenarios such as the rains and stuff. We have already spoken about them and said they are part and parcel of the most important thing, which is safety campaign, right? So all in all, if you would check the number of things that we have already looked into, my good people, in today's lecture, what we have looked into are tools that we can say is occupational health and safety we are going to be using, right? And if you would check why are we trying to do this, we are saying wherever you are going to be employed, whether you are a safety officer, you are a sheriff, you are just an employee, you are responsible for managing health and safety, because there are a lot of sections in occupational health and safety that actually encourages us to say everyone is responsible. If you go to section 14, section 14 talks about the duties of an employee. What should we do as employees, right? If you go to section 13, section 13 says what? We have got the duty to inform. Everyone must inform, right? If you go to section 9, section 9 says you should not only look into the duties, your own safety alone. It must be your own safety and the safety of others. So if you continue, almost every part of the act keeps on coming back and telling you that you and everyone at work is responsible. Right. So at the end of the day, once that culture has been created, then people are gonna love it and people are gonna get used to it. So to sum up, what were we talking about today? We're talking about managing of health and safety. And we have established quite a number of items that we can use in terms of managing. However, one of the most things that is very important, which is in the act and also in the regulations, is documentation. We can't run away from the fact that whatever you are doing, you need to document such, right? So where does documentation come in, right? Documentation comes in, for some, it comes in as a safety file, right? You would find safety files in construction companies. You would find safety files in risky industries such as factories. You would find a safety file in mines and other places. So what are we going to do, my good people? We are going to stop here. And then on our next visit, which is tomorrow, we are going to be talking about the safety file compilation. What is it that you need to have for you to create a safety file? So why am I stopping this lesson here is because I'm going to post or send to you right now a document that shows how to do these safety files. I would want each one of you to go through that document, read it, understand it, and also check the indexes of safety files or safety file, right? Then when we sit down to discuss tomorrow together on this platform, it will be easier for me to make contributions. Any questions so far? Right. Yes, what to say? Where is your hand? I'm trying to get your hand, Wandisile. Hello, and this is your contribution unmuted. If you could unmute from your side there. Okay. I see the question you are raising or you are contributing. It says, Wandisile is asking for study material. Study material. All right. In terms of study material, I'm gonna send study material in the group. If all of you are in the group, it's fine. But in the meantime, before sending in the group, I'm also going to just to indicate where these materials are when you log in to our learning site. Let me just log in quick, and then we talk about it. Where is it? Let me project our learning site. Right, I'm gonna project our learning site just now. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Right. So as I'm talking, I'm projecting our learning site. So I'm going to enter the course that you guys are doing, and you will see where the learning materials are. But at the same time, I'm still going to send them in the group so that we can be able to use. Let me just stop the online. Right. So I'm here at our site, and I'm gonna log in into Shemtrek, right? So Shemtrek is there, and then you are going to find that this is what it looks like from your side, right? There is introduction here, right? If you get into introduction, then you go down to where it says module 1, introduction to, right? So if you go there, you can see this is PDF. Where I'm running with my mouse here. This is a PDF. If you click with this PDF, it will bring you straight to the module. Here is a module for right. This is Introduction to Occupational Health and Safety Module 1, right? So basically what I'm saying here is that the material would be there on the system. However, it might be difficult for some to find them. I'm now on number 2. If you go to number 2, you'll find this is some of the modules. So you can be able to access the modules direct from our site there, where you guys are logging in and doing it. But at the same time, I am going to post these modules as PDF onto the group so that everyone can be able to access them. Is that all right? Right. Any further questions before I close? Every day at 12 o'clock, we are going to be having this meeting. I will just go live every day at 12 o'clock. So feel free to join for those who would want to.